It's time to talk about the very best comic books that you can read this week. It wasn't a great week, especially if you like Marvel and DC. Yeah, we got a DC recommend and we have a Marvel recommend, but the rest of it is all indie comics. They absolutely dominated the comic book scene this week. Here to talk to me about that is Drew from Comics Elite. How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing all right, Wes. Just got back from C2E2. Got a little case of the con crud, but that's what happens. But let's talk about some great comics.
Absolutely. Hope you're doing better soon. Let's start out with my big recommendation, The Kill Lock, the Artisan Wraith #6, IDW, Livio Ramondelli, writing and illustrating. This is a big comic book. It looks like they took the last two comics of the issue and decided to make them one, definitely plus size. The art, once again, is fantastic. And we start learning a lot of secrets about this society of robots, where they came from. I don't know, I guess maybe the original sin of this robot society that they've developed here. And we see some interesting things. We see some deaths. We got cloaking devices on new characters. I thought it was an interesting conclusion to the story. Not maybe the greatest ending that I personally would have loved, but I did enjoy it, and I think it did the story justice.
So we did not get that book yet in the store. I think there's been one or two times where we've reviewed it and we haven't gotten it yet. Like, we hopefully will get it next week. But yeah, I look forward to reading it. I've enjoyed the series as well, and I can't wait to read it. So everything you said about it has got me a little amped and pumped to read it.
There's a lot more revelations coming up in your future. Like I said, it's like a double-sized issue, so there's a lot to chew on there. Hopefully we'll get more of the Kill Lock in the future from Livio Ramondelli. I think he's done a great job. But I also wouldn't mind seeing him do some really cool work on a good Transformer comic, which we haven't seen in quite some time. The other comic book I'm personally going to recommend this week, Starhenge, The Dragon and the Boar #2 from Image Comics. Liam Sharp writing and illustrating. Most people know Liam Sharp as a comic book artist, not so much as a writer. I personally loved his Batman, Wonder Woman, Brave and the Bold, which really explored kind of Celtic culture and mythology in depth, and I thought was brilliant. This is doing kind of the same thing, but for Arthurian legend, twisting some things, adding some sci-fi components to the story. There's a lot of time travel, but it's really the art that is absolutely carrying the story. It's absolutely brilliant.
You hit the nail on the head right there. The art in this book by Liam Sharp is gorgeous. It is simply gorgeous. And Kyle and I reviewed it. The story is, I don't want to say a mess, but it's confusing. The story is
dense. This is the word you're looking for.
Yeah. Like I said, the time jumps are going on. It's like, whoa, wait, it may make sense at the end when it's all collected, what we're getting toward. But yeah, I do like the twist on the Arthurian legend. But then it jumps to a couple in modern day and then the future. It's like, whoa. Let's reel it back in. Let's focus on one. But anyway, the art is beautiful. You're buying it for the art. It is amazing.
And I think by the end, I think people are going to be sticking around from the story, because I've seen him kind of stick the landing on a story like this over at DC Comics, and I have high hopes for it. But if you like great comic book art, definitely be checking out Starhenge, and I think the story is going to catch up with it. Now let's move over to your big recommendations. You're sticking with Image Comics this week. Prodigy, the Icarus Society #2, Mark Millar, Matteo Buffoni. On art on this one, obviously another Millarworld series. Mark Millar is hot as can be, coming off of King of Spies. He's also got his follow-up to The Magic Order. Now we've got this Prodigy sequel, and he's got 3 other big announcements that he's made within the last month. Mark Millar is absolutely hot, and you should be reading Prodigy.
Exactly. You know, the top 2 creators right now, I think, who are dominating the market are Mark Millar and Todd McFarlane. These two have pretty much, they're circling the wagons right now with Marvel and DC. And but yeah, Prodigy, the Icarus Society, I am really digging this. Effectively, this issue 2 was the setup issue for our hero. And we learn what he has to do. If he doesn't, he's going to die. And this story is great. We got stuff involving aliens, Atlantis, an evil society, and a guy who looks like he's operating out of the Tyrell Corp from Blade Runner. I love that stuff. It's great. And the art is fun as well. I'm really digging this series. It's a very fun and creative series. Yeah, Prodigy, the Icarus Society, #2.
Mark Millar definitely knows what comic book readers today are looking for, and he's got great taste in artists, so you know it's going to be good. Dope from beginning to the end, from the story to the art. Now, you did mention Todd McFarlane being really hot. Obviously, you're talking about his Spawn series, because that's pretty much all that he does in comic books. He's been expanding it. This week, we got King Spawn #13 from Image Comics. Sean Lewis writing, Thomas Nachlik illustrating. Spawn is hot as can be. Got 3-4 really well-selling comic book series out there as he expands the Spawn universe.
Yeah, and in this issue, we get the return of Raven Spawn. I hadn't seen Raven Spawn in I don't know how long, and now it's fun seeing him have a little confrontation with Al Simmons, the regular Spawn, and he tells Al that something he really wasn't prepared for, and maybe he's not the king, and he's been nothing but a pawn this whole time for this whole setup. But who's pawn? Who's controlling him? We just don't know yet. The art in this is good. I felt like it was kind of stiff for the action scenes, but it's still solid, good art. This was just a solid, fun comic. Yeah, King Spawn 13.
Another thing that Todd McFarlane is known for is his keen eye for artistic talent. Not shocking because he's one of the most influential artists of all times within comic books. One artist that made his stripes on Spawn would be Simon Kudranski. This week he's on A Town Called Terror, #5, also from Image Comics. Steve Niles writing with the Kudranski art on there. Simon Kudranski is at home in a nice, horror-filled, very dark, tonal comic book story, and this is what you're getting here.
Absolutely. His art in this is phenomenal. The opening pages in this are flipping, graphic, and terrific. I love the opening pages in this. They're beautiful. So the story, the prodigal son of the story, he gets a huge life-changing piece of news in regards to his family lineage. And on top of that, his wife may have finally discovered where he is, but I don't think it's going to turn out too well for her when she gets stopped. But this issue was great. There's a lot of great violence, some tense scenes. It's terrifying. This is a great horror series from Image Comics. Steve Niles, Simon Kudranski. Yeah, you could tell he is straight up at home. This is his wheelhouse. This is where he belongs.
So there was another interesting debut over at Image Comics. We haven't really seen Tom King do anything creator-owned in a long time. He's kind of been DC exclusive for a while. This week he had Love Everlasting #1 with Elsa Chartier as the artist. I'm surprised you're recommending this one. I wouldn't even check it out because I'm so Tom King'd off.
I agree, but he's gone up a half notch after Killing Time, so I'm more inclined to give him a shot now, slightly. But so we have to judge the comic as a comic, and this was a solid first issue. Do I have an idea of where it's headed? Absolutely. Is it there yet? No. Could I be wrong? Maybe. But for right now, this is a fun little mystery involving a woman falling in love in different time periods, but she's suddenly remembering those time periods and those men she was falling in love with, and they're playing out like fictional, cliched romance stories from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, which is fun. They're a lot of fun going back and reading those. And so, yeah, this is a recommend for the first issue. It is just a fun-filled, romantic-filled first issue.
When I think of Tom King, I think about fun-filled romance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Batman Catwoman, absolutely. Yeah.
Now let's go over to another comic book writer, more known for Star Wars right now, but definitely made a name on the indie scene, got big over at Marvel and DC. Charles Soule with Ryan Brown on art for 8 Billion Genies #4. This thing has gotten a lot of buzz lately. People are really kind of being drawn to this series, and it seems to be one of the big winners for Image Comics this year.
Yeah, it has been, and we noticed that in all the back issues, the week after they came out, they're selling for $20 to $30, which is ridiculous. But this issue has only gotten better with each of the subsequent issues. I had some minor plot hole problems in some of the issues 1 or 2, but Charles Soule quickly rectified those in the follow-up issues, calling out what I had said. It's like, oh, okay, he fixed it. There we go. Fine. This issue is by far the best. I love it. People who wish to be superheroes and supervillains are fighting each other. It's great. But the record-scratching moment is when we discover that there's actually may have been a whole plan the entire time with the Genies. Like, this may have just been like the first phase of everything. There's a whole next phase that we don't know about, and we're getting ready to see what that is. Yeah, this is the issue that makes the big turn. This issue is the best by far, and it's proven to be a lot of fun.
A lot of people think that the genie is the hero, in that Disney movie. What is it? The Whole New World. What's that? Aladdin. Yeah, never trust a genie. I don't know I don't know why they're trying to make that character try to be like a good guy or something.
They never saw Wishmaster. Come on. Geez.
Exactly. Yeah. Genies are bad people. Definitely read that comic book if you'd like to explore that a little bit more. Now let's go over to the big two. This is going to be kind of fast. You expect more comic books from them out there since they put out so many, but it's just for Marvel Comics. It's only X-Men Legends #1. Roy Thomas writing, Gerardo Sandoval illustrating. This is basically connecting Wolverine from Hulk number 181 to giant size X-Men, where he makes his first appearance on the X-Men team. I've been excited for this one. Roy Thomas is an absolute legend. The man knows Marvel Comics history and canon inside and out, and you can see it here. I don't know that he had enough to work with here, but what he gave us was actually pretty damn exciting.
Yeah, this was just a fun comic. I flippin' love this. We get Wolverine versus the Hulk, Wolverine versus the Canadian government, Wolverine versus other characters. It's great. Just Wolverine fighting everyone. It's fantastic. It's how it should be. And eventually in the story, Wolverine is sent to the U.S. on a new mission to hunt down a certain character. Well, he's sent with a certain character I hadn't seen in a hot minute. And they're trapped by more characters. And I don't want to say who they are. Like, wait a minute. This is an interesting twist. I didn't expect to see them here. But yeah, there's some great stuff here. It's just straight up fun. And I cannot wait to read the next issue.
Absolutely love seeing a legend like Roy Thomas come back. He's still got it. Although he's a little bit older, I don't know that he wants to be doing any ongoings, but it's great to see him in these legend type spots.
Absolutely. And you can just clearly tell he knows what he's doing. He knows who he's writing, and he's doing it better than most of the writers at Marvel right now.
In the past, DC Comics has really been known for their Elseworld stories. I think they've been including too many Elseworld elements into their regular canon. I'm glad they haven't done that with DCeased yet. This week we got DCeased, War of the Undead Gods, #1, basically the final chapter from Tom Taylor, Trevor Hairsine. Not the biggest Tom Taylor fan when it comes to in-continuity, but when he does these stories, they actually hit pretty well. I think this one is a little bit odd. It feels just a little off because essentially we see like Superman come back and everything gets returned back to the way it was supposed to be before the gods on New Genesis come back and they're all corrupted as well to kind of restart, I guess, the scenario that we've been going through in the first 2 chapters. It was an interesting way to continue it and finish it up here in this last chapter, but I still like it. I like the DCeased universe. I hate to see it go, but it's better to leave it on a high note than, I guess, wear out your welcome and become dull.
Yeah, honestly, I thought the previous series where it ended, that was a perfect way to end it. There's no need, but this issue, it was a good first issue. Like you said, we're seeing how they've rebuilt society. They're trying to, and some of the heroes are brought back to life. And we see some heartfelt moments with Alfred and a few others with characters that they weren't able to. And you have to kind of accept the fact, like, hey, we tried, we couldn't do it. And we see what happened to Supergirl as well in this and where she went. And it didn't turn out too well for her at all in any way, shape, or form. But and then Brainiac attacks. Or does he? Yeah, this is a good read. Finally, Tom Taylor, he's doing it. This is the first comic I'm going to recommend from Tom Taylor in over a year, I think. Yeah, this is a strong recommend.
If you like Kara Zor-El, if you like Supergirl, you're going to love this comic book because a lot of it is about her and Superman. Some very interesting stuff going on. I'm excited to finish up this last chapter of DCeased. It's one of those little Elseworld corners of the DC universe I really enjoyed. So I'm glad he was able to kind of keep the momentum going. And that'll basically do it for this week's Best Comic Books. Do you have any other final words there, Drew?
Yes, August 28th, Born of Blood, #1, the FOC kicks in. That's when the final order cutoff is for stores. So please go to your local comic book shops. Tell them you want to order Born of Blood #1. And hopefully they'll put it on their poll list for you. And you'll really, truly love the story. It's a very fun, action-packed story.
Speaking of Tom Taylor, one of the comic books you're not really going to see recommended often here on the channel is Superman, Son of Kal-El. This week we got another example, although I guess it's one of the better issues they've had lately. But John Kent popped out a ring for old Jay Nakamura. It might not have been an engagement ring, but he also gives him a costume. Definitely check this video out. Me basically making fun of and having some classic readings of just a really bad Superman series.